hello again. Third in a row, if you want to know, but my next review is another PS3 exclusive. It's really good. It's from a legendary developer, and I've read a lot of reviews and I've watched a lot of reviews that absolutely pans this game so much, but I don't understand why, because I think it's fantastic. I actually love it so much. But the negativities that I have heard in some reviews I do agree on. But anyway, we'll just carry on with it. Knight Chronicles. I think it's fantastic. I really do love it. I've heard that when I was reading and watching the reviews, they were saying like graphically it's far less superior to every other game that's out there, and I do agree with that. But by no means are the graphics bad. I think they're really good. I actually think they're quite pretty. For a first outing by level 5 on the PS3, I think the graphics are really, really good. They're a hell of a lot better than Infamous, right? And that scored better than this, but it is a better game. But this has better graphics, I'm just saying, right? I think, this is pretty pointless, but I think the water features in this game are absolutely mind-blowing. I think they are the best, some of the best I've ever seen. The environments, the maps you get, they're so huge, and they're all loaded. I do agree that there is some pop-in, but how many games don't have pop-in? I mean, honestly, that's a bit naggy. Pop-in aside, the maps are huge. They're huge. They're what I say typical to a PS3 game. Huge. It's huge. Voice acting's iffy. It's all right. If you're an RPG nut like me and you've played enough games, you'll get used to the bad voice acting, and bad voice acting to you is alright. I think it's alright. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. That's alright. Graphically, I think it's actually quite pretty. I give it a 7. A 7 out of 10. Graphically, it's quite pretty. Gameplay wise is where I kinda end my love for Knight Chronicles, because the combat is good. If you're like me and you actually have played enough RPGs to actually know how to play. Like, on the reviews, for example, it's complaining saying, oh, the enemies can hit you from anywhere, but you have to be right close up. That is bad. But if you are good enough at RPGs to actually know how to play the game enough to actually be good enough to negate that, then it's not a problem. I don't find it a problem, because it's just basically showing your skills in RPG or to actually get past that. That whole distance doesn't mean anything to the enemies. That's old school RPG. That's old school stuff, and I love it. I think it's fantastic. You get a hell of a lot of experience for killing your enemies. I've barely done anything in the game. Now I'm already like level 8. It's just 7 levels with ease, basically. Story wise, it takes ages. It takes so long to happen. But that's what I love about RPGs. That it's a long game. It's a very, very long game. Well, I've seen a few set pieces with the White Knight, and I do think they're really good. I think they're fantastic. I think the White Knight's brilliant. What I find annoying is that you get all these moves, you get all these skills that you can learn, but you only ever end up using one because it deals the most damage, and that's all that really matters. If your defense is high enough, then all that really matters is how much damage you're dealing. It's quite a shame, really, because the combat palette thing, that got really, 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 really ripped on by everyone. I think it's alright. I quite enjoy it. I like the fact that you have all your moves right there, and it's not like, oh, I have to scroll down to black magic, then I have to scroll all the way down to the bottom to use my most powerful move. It's just a long click. Easy. The action chips thing, I can understand that if your most powerful move uses action chips and then you need to use the White Knight, that can be frustrating, but luckily for me my most powerful move doesn't use action chips. But even so, you use up your action chips, you just hit an enemy a few times, let them hit you a few times and you've got them back. It's simple as. Armour wise, I love this in RPGs. Buy armour and it actually goes on your character. The last RPG-esque game that I remember that happening on was The Lord of the Rings The Third Age, and that's 2004. That's 6 years ago, Christ. Fighting as the White Knight was not as good as I expected it to be, but I still enjoyed it. That's what you've got to realise for what I'm talking about in this game. This game is full of disappointments, of course, but I still enjoyed it. I still think it's an enjoyable game. It was worth buying. My friend, who is a right RPG nut like me, but he's like a big muscle guy, kept on saying to me, buy White Knight Chronicles, why you not got White Knight Chronicles? And I keep on going, there was better games out at the time. That was the truth. But I'm so happy that I bought this because it was worth it. It's such a good game. Diorama though, I've tried so hard to get on it, but every time I try and connect, it just fails. And I haven't actually been able to get on it. It's quite annoying. So I can't really comment on that. But if the town building system's anything like it was in Dark Cloud 1, then it'll be stupendous to me anyway. When you're fighting a boss type character and you can target different body parts, that's actually quite intriguing, because if you do hit the leg enough times, they'll stagger down and they'll lose their balance, and they're vulnerable to attacks on the head, which takes off more damage, and that's really good. I can't really think of anything else really, because actually the story is it starts off a bit lackluster. You start off as Leonard, the wine connoisseur with the massive ponytail, and you make your avatar, and he just stands there and nods his head, waves, smiles. Pointless. But the avatar's good for Diorama, but it's pointless when it comes to the story, because he just stands there and does nothing. He or she. You go around, you go to this town, you get a wine thing, you take it all the way back to Ballon and you go to the castle party and you sneak in, and then the Magi attack and you're like, oh god, it's very minor chaos. And then you take the princess, who you actually, for some reason, you have a past with, which she remembers because she was like, what, 5 then? And you take her down in the catacombs, kill some guys, and you find the white armour, and the white armour's phantom was actually really stunning. You fight that, you get the suit, you destroy this gigantic beast, and then they take the princess, and you're like, no! And then you go off on your perilous journey. That's how far I've got. It's what the story is about as interesting as I've explained to you, but because I'm an RPG nut, I can learn to love it, because it's good. I think it's pretty different. I can't really think of anything else, really. I don't know what it is about the game, but I don't feel all that excited about buying items like I would in other games. I'm not like desperate to go, oh, I need to buy this armour set so I can have better stats. I'm just like, oh, I want to level up so I can spend my skill points on new skills. And in the book it doesn't actually explain what each stat means. Like, it's obvious what strength and defense means, but I don't know what vitality is in this game, or endurance is, because one of those could be HP, I don't know. Having said that, final verdict, it's good, but then again it's bad. If you're an RPG nut, it's good. If you enjoy RPGs, but only really good RPGs, then it's bad. If it's graphics you're after, it's bad. If it's good gameplay you're after, it's mediocre. If it's a great story, it's mediocre. Overall, it's a mediocre game. For every other player, it's a mediocre game, but for an RPG nut, it's quite okay. It's quite good. Final verdict out of 10. 6. 6 out of 10. Still enjoyable, good game, not good enough for high score. Thanks for watching again. I think I'll upload some now.